Hey, I bet I know why you clicked on this video. You're probably still grappling with the idea of whether to niche down to blow up. Haha, I bet you know what I'm talking about, right? Listen, I'm going to talk about that in this week's video, and I'm going to ask you a few questions that are not commonly asked during this conversation, but I promise you in answering them, it's going to help you make the decision for yourself. All right. If you're anything like I was when I started my business, you're probably still grappling with the idea of narrowing your focus to a select few customers to provide a select amount of things in your business because you have so many skills and talents and you don't want to leave any money on the table. Does that sound familiar? Because I get it. I know exactly where you're coming from, and we're going to talk about it today. Today I'm going to be giving you a few questions that I think you should consider that are not so common in this particular conversation. If you stick around until the end, I'm also going to share with you my personal story about how I've had to deal with this very, very recently in my business, even though I've been in business for a very long time. So let's get into these very uncommon questions that I think you should ask yourself. Before we go there, though, I do want you to remember that I am on a quest to grow my subscriber base to at least 1,000 people by the end of the second quarter. So please, if you find anything helpful in the videos that I'm sharing with you, go ahead and subscribe. And if you are a returning viewer and have not subscribed, girl, what are you waiting on? Let's go ahead and get on the train. Join the Boss Squad. Make sure you are hitting that notification bell for all of the episodes that go up, but also what's more important really is just engaging with me, asking questions, talking down in the comment section. So please, 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 if you're visiting, if you're a returning visitor, please leave a comment. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Now that I've done that little bit of homework, let's go ahead and dive into the first question, and that is, what is your truth? So important for you to know your why, because you need to understand, are you doing this because you want to fill a gap? Are you doing this because you're solving a certain problem? Or are you doing this because you have a new idea and you want to share it with the world? What is your truth? Because when you know it, it helps you stay hyper focused in your day-to-day, the growing of your business, how you promote it, how you talk about it, all the things. And those right people are going to find you. It's going to help you decide exactly the area that you want to focus on and who you want to serve. So when you know your true why, you understand your truth, this is going to play a vital role in helping you. So think about it. What is your overall goal? Are you doing this business because you want to become financially independent? Are you doing it because you want to serve in your community? Is it a combination of them both? But even if that is your first level of answer, I want you to dive a little bit deeper. This is just maybe why you started your business. Maybe you felt like working in corporate wasn't going to get you where you wanted to be financially. Or like I said, you saw a need in the community. But when you ask yourself, what is your truth? I want you to think about something a little bit different. What was that epiphany moment, that aha moment you had that said, oh my gosh, other people need to know about this. Other people need to solve their problem this way. I can help so many people with what I just went through. If you had that epiphany moment, the next step I want you to think about is, now that you've identified that as something that is really monetizable, I want you to think about the journey it took you to get to a point where you felt you could help someone else with that problem or that challenge. And there's a journey there. There are steps that you took that worked for you. So you can categorize those steps and help your audience who needs those particular steps, who can do those things. That will further help you to discern who it is you want to serve and really apply your truth to the solution or the product that you are offering to your ideal audience. Also, when you can connect yourself, your own experience with the experience of your ideal customer, those conversations become so organic and so easy to have. And you don't come across salesy at all. You actually come across as someone who really wants to help and who has value to add to your customer base. Now, let's move on to the next question that I want you to consider, and that is, what are your abilities? Now, these are your strengths, but more importantly, not just your strengths, but how can you find opportunities in your wheelhouse to exercise those strengths? This is important because you want to identify your unique value proposition. This is that thing that is going to make you so different and set you apart from your competition. But let me just say this. I know I've said it before. I truly don't believe in competition. I believe that there is someone out there for everyone. And even if you're doing the exact same thing as the person next to you, someone's going to prefer you over that person, because you are the sum of your influence, experience, perspective, and passion. No one has the exact same combination, which means you are as unique as a snowflake. What I want you to do is take what you know about yourself and apply it to what you do and how you do it with your ideal audience. And then I want you to stand on that. What is that strength? How can you use that to find opportunities or create opportunities to shine in your demographic or in your customer base? So how do you distinguish yourself from your competition, and how or why would someone choose you over the person next to you doing the exact same thing? Another question to ask yourself here is there a specific area in your business where you thrive? This is where you shine. This is where people really can be shown how amazing you are and how you can solve their problem. On the flip side of that, there are also going to be areas where you don't like it. It's not your strength. It's not your wheelhouse. And you can then ask yourself, are these areas where you need to eliminate them in your business? Or are you serving a portion of your customer base that is really not who you want to serve? And this happens sometimes. This happened to me when I first started my business, and I really wanted to lean into the more strategy focused personal branding aspect of marketing. My husband and I were having a conversation one day, and he said to me, well, babe, they don't really understand your idea of strategy and how to use their personal brand to grow their business. So why don't you start off by helping them with their social media, and you can kind of backdoor that personal branding component. And so I found myself working with smaller businesses, trying to help them with their social media, their website development, and all of those more tangible aspects of marketing, just so that I could backdoor the thing that I really wanted to do. And you know what happened? I ended up getting customers that I really didn't want to serve, just so that I could backdoor the thing that I really wanted to do. And it wasn't anything wrong with what they wanted. It was just they were at a state in their business where they really didn't know that they needed what I had, because they were so hyper-focused on just trying to make that next dollar. Now, a little bit of an aside here. I wasn't going to add this. I didn't even think about it until now, but I actually have a quiz. It helps you with the stages of entrepreneurship. It helps you identify what stage of entrepreneurship you're in and who you need to be talking to at that stage. I found that really I was talking to the wrong people, and I needed to make some changes to who I wanted to talk to if I wanted to be successful at the thing that I wanted to be successful at, if I wanted to exercise my strengths and find the appropriate opportunities. So I would say that that is an important thing under this question of what are your abilities? Not only knowing that unique value, but also understanding those areas of your business where you thrive and those areas of your business where you're not that great in. You don't even want to serve that way, but you're doing it to reach the audience that you think you want to reach. So I would suggest that you ask yourself this question and really decide whether or not you are working with the people that you want to be working with the strengths that you have, and finding the appropriate opportunities. Again, these are questions that are not really common in this niche or not niche conversation, but I think they are valuable questions to help you answer the question for yourself. Hey,
Just popping in to see if you've had a chance to grab my ebook, 3 Steps to Leveraging Your Personal Brand. Super excited about this ebook because it only takes 3 steps to leverage who you are to get what you want. And I'm sharing that with you inside this ebook. So once you finish watching this video, if you are ready to take your business to the next level, if you are ready to start attracting the right people and start making those relationships work for you, this ebook is exactly what you need to be checking out. It will be down in the description box below. So I can't wait for you to read it and tell me your thoughts and see how you thrive. All right, let's get back to today's video. All right, bye guys.
Now, the next question that I want you to think about is, what is your bandwidth? I don't think people think about this question enough, and it's definitely something that I talk about when I'm working with my clients who are trying to procure government contracts. There are certain aspects of government contracts that require you to, or maybe don't require you to, but have opportunities for you to work with subcontractors. You have to know what your bandwidth is going into your solicitation of a contract or your answering of an RFP for a contract. That's request for proposal. The government wants to know that you can handle the work that you're saying you want. So that is your bandwidth. Can you handle it? Same holds true in your business. You need to know what your bandwidth is. Do you really have the time to do all the things that you say you want to do, to be all things to everybody? I get it. I was a cosmetologist. I still have a license for my cosmetology. I still do clients on occasion. I was a premier design jeweler that led me into the wardrobe and fashion styling space where I did that for some time. I had a babysitting agency, y'all, back in Kentucky. Let's not talk about it. Stay focused. I also did marketing strategies for my first marketing business, and I'd worked with nonprofits and other for-profit businesses. But it took me some time to really take all of that in and say, I really don't have time for all that. I really don't even like all of that. There's only so many hours in a day, and I was a one-woman show. So you have to really be honest with yourself about the amount of time you have and your bandwidth. Now, one thing and a tool that I have, and you can check out this video here, is to help you with creating a zero-sum calendar. This is where you spend all of your time, all 24 hours of your day on your calendar so that you know where you have pockets of time to do certain things. Now, I go into detail with this strategy, but suffice it to say, this is how you can determine what your actual bandwidth is. Can you go to lunch with your friend? Are you available for those meetings? Should you have them even if you are available because maybe there's a project that you need to work on? Having a zero-sum calendar is so good when it comes to productivity and understanding your bandwidth. Next, are you able to maintain a positive customer experience? Right? Just because you have the time, maybe you are not spending enough time doing the things to nurture your audience. I actually just wrote a book on sales funnels. It is called From Clicks to Clients, Mastering Sales Funnels for Digital Success. One of the things that I emphasize is there are really 4 components to your sales funnel. You've got the part that brings people in, but the really important part are the 2 parts that happen after you bring them in and after they make the purchase. And that is where you are nurturing your audience within this customer experience. Once you've got them in your funnel, your goal is to make them become a member of your community, make them fall so much in love with you that they are going to refer you time and time again and come back to you time and time again. That nurture piece is so important. If you don't have the bandwidth to do that part, you could be missing out on so many dollars because people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And this nurture area is exactly where you do that. So you want to make sure you have enough bandwidth for that. The next part is once they've made the purchase, you also need to nurture them by appreciating them for their purchase, providing them with more value and maybe discounts that would encourage them to go out and share you with other people. So this nurture element is so important as a part of your business that you have to make sure you have the bandwidth for that. Is your workday too long? Are you trying to cram too much in so that you're burning yourself out and you're not giving yourself enough time to fill your own cup? Now, I promised you that I was going to give you some personal information about my own personal struggle, and I've sort of sprinkled a little bit of it in throughout this video, but what I'll say is that I have got so many skills and talents and things that I love to do. I like to do hair. I like to do fashion styling and wardrobe styling. I love personal shopping for people. I love interior design. I love personal branding. I love strategies. I love all of these things, but I had to whittle it down to really understand how I wanted to use all of my skills to help the people that I love. And I've mentioned this in a video before, but the very first thing I did was I sort of kind of looked at all of the things that I could do, and I found what I call a style thread, a common thread within my businesses, and I tried to understand what that common thread was. And then ultimately, for all that I do, was to make my customers look and feel their best so that they could attract the people that they want to attract, so they could achieve their goals. So that's really what it boiled down to. But once I thought that through, the next thing I had to decide was what of that, all those activities that I was doing to help people look and feel their best, to attract their audience, where were my strengths? Where did I get excited in my business? What was it that made me want to get up in the morning and help people? That is another thing. So again, what was my true why? What was my truth? I identified that. Then I had to understand, where were my strengths? What were my strengths? And I realized what my strengths were. I love talking to people. I love hearing where there is a problem, where there is stress, and helping them come up with a game plan to overcome that stress, to minimize that stress, to mitigate that stress. And then I further wanted to think about, okay, of all the things that I do, I don't have time to do it all. I'm stretching myself thin. How can I fix this? And that was when I realized that I had to make some hard truths, and that was what happened at the end of last year. I told you that it was way more recent than way back then. But what happened last year was I realized, as much as I loved working with small businesses and wanted to help them with their marketing strategies, a lot of them just weren't there yet, mindset-wise. They were still on the rat race of trying to earn dollars for their time. They had not gotten to a point where they were ready to understand systems and processes that they could put in place to make it easier for them to work on their business instead of in their business. So I made a hard decision to pivot at the end of last year to not talking primarily about marketing with small businesses, but offering them services like a coaching program or ebooks, like I mentioned earlier, or online programs. I am about to drop the updated version of my Authentic Marketing Blueprint, which is an amazing mini course for small businesses to help them understand what it can look like for them to create strategies and really make their business authentic and be able to speak organically to their audience. But that's what I decided I needed to do for those small businesses so that I could scale my business and now work with larger businesses who are more revenue positive and understand the scaling approach of working on your business and not in your business, and are ready to create those systems and processes. So I am completely in the same boat with you, or have been very recently in the same boat with you, where I had all of these things that I really wanted to do, but I had to get hyper focused on how I did them. So I'm leaving it up to you. When you finish answering the question, what is your truth? What are your abilities and what is your bandwidth? I believe that you will have the answer you need to the question of whether to niche down or not. Now, I want to ask you, have you ever heard the saying, jack of all trades, master of none? Well, forget about niching down and just master you. Understand what you need to do and be your best. Answer these questions knowing what your truth is, where your abilities are, and what you have the bandwidth for. And I believe that you will then know who your audience needs to be, who you want to serve, and why you want to serve them. And you will have everything you need to stay in alignment with that and not allow things to get you out of focus, out of alignment, and off target. All right, if you're still struggling to gain traction in your business, this next video that I'm going to share with you is going to help you with that. I am sharing my tips and practices for mind over mistakes, because I think a positive mindset that will make. All right, Thank you so much for watching this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps you answer that question, to niche or not to niche. And I hope it gave you a new perspective on how to answer that question for yourself. Again, I told you, it's asking yourself questions that are not commonly asked or talked about during this niche or not to niche conversation. Leave a comment below and tell me if it was helpful, if it gave you this new perspective that's going to help you decide who it is you want to talk to, why you want to talk to them, and how you want to nurture them and make sure you have the bandwidth to do it all. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching this week's video. Don't forget to subscribe and comment. Bye.